Yeah, give me the wireless mic. Tell me. Screw it. Let's do this.
Let's do it.
So yeah, there was a movie. There's a movie that's in production called Rose, Bizarro comedy musical. It was written by a guy by the name of John Skip, who is a supporter and advocate of Bizarro, but they don't call him that because he's been doing shit. He does a lot of horror, extreme horror, and he's done it for quite a long time. He does some crazy ass extreme horror. I think there was one of his most famous books is called A Bullet to the Face, and the actual cover on the front is just like a bullet going through a head. It kind of goes downhill from there.
We're not getting anything from the wireless.
Whatever. It's a zombie movie about some crazy club girl that goes around and smashes zombies on the head. So forget that one. You do really need the audio. Another thing is the Slow Poisoner. He is his name is Andrew Goldfarb. He's a comic writer and illustrator, and also a one-man traveling band and snake oil salesman. Could you play the song that I have queued up there?
I can, but only if Lori gets back to it because we have lost our thing.
Alright, so...
This video doesn't sync up to it, but it's a video for this song.
Okay.
It's a live video, so it totally does not sync up to it.
okay, here we go. Play.
Thanks.
It's a song called Run Rooster Run. But it's awesome. And it's short.
Run, rooster, run. Run, rooster, run. Now that your head is gone, run, rooster, run. Run, rooster, run. Away across the farm, away from the chopping block, run, rooster, run. Now that your head is gone, run, rooster, run. See our promised land, away up in the hills. See the morning sky without eyes. Fields are blazing fire, my ashes of the sun. Burn away the world until it's done. Now it's your turn to feed. The seas begin to bleed. Up into that light, run, rooster, run. Now that your head is gone, run, rooster, run. Now that your head is gone, run, rooster, run. Now that your head is gone, run, rooster, run.
Alright. Yeah, it's a song about there was actually a sideshow chicken. His owner went to cut his head off, like they do, and it didn't die, so it just had this stump, and it just ran around and it lived for quite a while afterwards, and the guy actually turned him into a sideshow thing. Yeah, really. Yeah, it's totally cool. There's
It's like
actually
over a year, right?
Are you serious?
longer than that. It was a couple
Number
of
of
years,
years.
quite a few years.
Someplace in Colorado.
Well, it was a.
We had to live if we couldn't eat.
I'm sorry.
It existed. There is actually video of it out there. There is actually video of this thing out there. I think it just like severed it, like I don't know how it did. It's pretty weird and it's crazy. Anybody have any questions? Because that's basically what I got.
Woo! I don't know if this is a question or a reflection. You and I are roughly of an age. You remember Peter Sotos?
No.
Okay. There was a writer named Peter Sotos who was doing what seems to be Bizarro fiction before there was Bizarro fiction, before there was a name for this. It was being being done through the fanzines back in the mid-'80s, early '90s, who was brought up on obscenity charges for writing this material. He focused a lot on a lot of the stuff that I now would say we might term bizarro. A lot of the work that he was doing involved things that, stories that involved sexual violence and obsession, where he used a lot of characters who were serial killers and so on and so on at that time. But it seems that the work he was doing was maybe a little bit more serious than Bizarro, slightly more.
Oh, shit is not serious at all.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. There was a clear joke in what he was doing.
Yeah.
But he seemed to be a little more serious with it, and was prosecuted for obscenity.
First off,
What is enabling Bizarro to flourish and thrive in the way that it is without getting the hammer dropped on it right now?
well, first off, Satanberger, there were actually charges brought on somebody in Alaska, I do believe, because they gave a copy of it to a child, and they were going to give them put them up on obscenity charges for it, but you know, they basically said this is literature, and it didn't hold any water. I think one of the biggest things with them is they're just so under the radar, and not only that. I mean, if you've got 50 Shades of Grey out there, and that's, you know, that ends up being one of the most popular books, you really can't. I mean, well, I guess you can complain if there's a story about a baby Jesus buffalo that goes around and kills everybody, but I mean, I just don't think people really. They don't really care anymore. And not only that, they aren't big enough. They just aren't big enough. People try and go after them. People would just say, "Man, but you got these guys over here." You know, they're really, yeah. They're still too far on the fringe.
Maybe
But-
the sign of the times?
Huh?
Maybe the sign of the times? Sign of the times, you know, people are more accepting of
Yeah.
fringe items and
It could be that we're a little bit more desensitized
Well,
to things.
think about some of the movies that are out there, like Human Centipede, and things like that.
Yeah.
That people are perfectly fine watching.
I mean, the Meatball Machine, that's actually a legitimate movie. That actually happened in theaters. And the thing about the absurdity thing, one of the reasons why a lot of the older labels, the original labels didn't stick is because they were so serious. They tried to attach them to this really, to just this kind of headier, loftier thing than they ever tried to be. They just wrote this crazy, stupid, fun stuff for people to read. Yeah, they'd make them good stories, and they're very well written, but it just so happens that instead of I don't know, think of any iconic literary character that you can think of. Tarzan, whatever. There is a 300-pound, or 600, I'm sorry, he started out at 600 pounds, 600-pound super ninja that has to eat because he has a metabolic condition. But in that, there's this great discovery of who he is and how he fits in the world, and he finds a little thing that he finds a lot of himself in. But he's a 100-pound super ninja that's going out and, you know, doing corporate espionage with a freaking lightsaber katana. You know, I mean, that's the difference, is that it's good stories with really absurd settings and such. You know, like another story is one called Tentacle Death Trip. It's a story. It's a death race kind of a story. If everybody's seen Death Race, everybody knows what that is. It's a death race story, but they're all traveling. They're going across the eastern seaboard, and the main villain in it has this car that's been basically, I don't know if you call it blessed, but whatever, by Cthulhu. So it has these crazy tentacles that come out and attack other cars and crap. So they do things like that, and there's nothing serious about it.
do they basically draw on a lot of their influence off of things like H.P. Lovecraft and Aldous Huxley and all the fringe writers in the 1930s, do they draw their inspiration off that? Do
The
you see a lot of that?
the Lovecraft for content, things like other writers more for structure because it's good writing. Not content-wise and not thematically, but because it's how you write a good story. So.
Okay, so when my brain amalgamates all of the images that you showed us, which fucking awesome, and you tell us that Eraserhead was the first.
Eraserhead first, yeah.
The publishing. So my brain goes, naturally that's because of Lynch's movie. Is that
That's what
correct?
they named it after, yeah. Actually, that's what I
Is there
thought
more I
too.
should know about that?
What?
Or how,
The
that
link
they drew
between the
their
two?
name from Lynch, or
There's really nothing more. I looked and I was like, wow, this must be some kind of thing. Like, no, just cool. Yeah, I mean, they were really young at the time, just doing like basically self-publishing in their basement.
does Lynch know what they're doing?
Um,
They named it after his
He
movie?
does because I can't. I don't. It's not. I don't know about it because it's not something that really piqued my interest because I didn't like the album. But there, a couple of Bizarro authors did have a part in the promotion of David Lynch's album, and I don't remember what because I thought it was a Mark album. So it didn't pique my interest, so I didn't look into it. So he knows. I mean, he knows about it.
Follow-up question.
Screw you!
Bizarro, any relation to the
Superman?
cartoon that came from World War
Oh, well, they actually, you mean the comic strippy comic? No. I mean, there's more relationship to the comic book character from Superman. Yeah. Because he's dumb and he's backwards, but there is a absolute beauty to that character, and that's kind of how they are. That's incidental. And it really sucks because they wanted Bizarro.com, and people always go to Bizarro.com and they're like, whoa, this is just a...
It's not just a comic, Bizarro is awesome.
Huh? Yeah, but it's really not what you're looking for. It's not what you're looking for. People that usually they're looking for Bizarro Central, they look at that and they say, oh, okay, I'm going back to crazy Japanese porn now.
Thank you for asking, or
Yeah.
answering all my questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is kind of tied to the Craig's
No,
question.
no. Wait in line, buddy.
Sorry. So I've been noticing a thing in my Facebook feed, as I'm sure we all have the past couple of days, and I'm wondering if this counts as Bizarro, the dinosaur erotica? Right? On my Facebook feed, is that Bizarro?
I will have to say it was done first by these guys.
Dinosaur erotica was done by these guys.
It wasn't coined dinosaur erotica,
Right.
but loving the time of dinosaurs.
So maybe.
There's some scenes in there that get kind of steamy between a what the hell was she? She was some kind of raptor, but I can't remember what she was. And
They
the
love
main
the
character.
raptors. That's what all these dinosaur erotica.
She was a different-
fucking raptors.
Well, I mean, there's different types of raptors. They're just the kinds that are like
Right.
those are the raptors. Like the ones that, yeah. But you know, they're like kangaroos. There's many different types of kangaroos. It was some kind of raptor. It was a raptor with a machine gun that had sex with a monk who they were supposed to be sworn enemies, but Romeo and Juliet.
Wait, so this is men having sex with velociraptors? Because everything I've seen is definitely women having sex.
Well, this was a woman that writes it as opposed to the man that writes that. Flip it around.
Are the velociraptors men?
No, this specific one was a woman, but it's an entire society and they do have to procreate, so there are men involved. But they don't commingle because Romeo.
Because why would you?
Because Romeo and Juliet. I mean, do I need to explain any more than that? Are you literarily literate?
Oh, Jesus.
I'm just giving you shit. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, so basically I want to hear dirt. Like, has anybody been so extreme in their actual life any of these authors where they almost were like shunned by the rest of the Bizarro community?
No.
Because you mentioned that one guy who like
He lives in
supposedly
Japan.
shot his friend, right?
Nobody cares about him. He lives in Japan. Nobody actually talks to him because he's kind of a hermit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So technically he was shunned, he shunned himself.
Yes, he did, and there's an interview with him called My Evening with what was his name, Tom Bradley, and it's basically they're in Hiroshima, they go out to dinner, and it's just his dinner with him because he can't talk about the guy's life because all he does is recite this crap from Wikipedia. They're having normal conversations that people normally have, and everyone around him is treating him like a pariah because they know this guy. He's like 7'2" in Japan, which first off is a bad thing, but they all know who he is. He wrote one of his books, which I'm also really horrible with names too. I didn't read it, and I don't remember what the hell it's called, but it spoke out really. It was one of the nonfiction. Spoke out really horribly against the Japanese government, and they hate him. So, but I mean, they're all about they're all about shit tons of drugs, sex, all this kind of shit. They don't care. They don't really. I mean, the stuff that I think in order to be shunned by them, you have to be pretty freaking normal. Yeah. So. Anything else? I had one last video, but it doesn't require audio too because it's a song. But I'm sorry, it's kind of boring. Huh?
You should just
Do it.
Okay, sure. I mean, the song is creepy. Whoa, wrong one.
No.
I'm not thinking it yet. Maybe, can you hear any of it? Doesn't matter.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good actually.
Yeah? Yeah. Doesn't matter. It's a Jesus show for kids. He's singing Jesus Loves Me, Yes I Know.
It's
Those are the kids. Those kids grew up to be the people she was talking about. No, so you notice that's actually a real cat.
This just kind of makes me want to be a Satanist.
Yeah. And that's a real mouse. That's creepy.
Oh.
Oh, that's creepy.
How did they get the mouse to do that?
Oh,
How did they get the mouse to do that?
The power of Jesus. Are you
Just
guys
so
gonna do
you know
something?
the addendum that I didn't say that my husband and I were going to go to our honeymoon in New Orleans in 2005. Really sucked. We couldn't do it, but in about 2.5 weeks we're going to. 8 years later, in New Orleans in 2.5 weeks on Halloween, so we're actually going to do it for real, not for play.
Woo!